cane clattered to the pavement as Harold Grizz Franklin, 91, hit the asphalt with a hollow thud. His frail body curled instinctively, bones creaking as he tried to shield himself from the impact. Behind him, laughter erupted, sharp, cruel, the unmistakable sound of teenagers who had no idea what they'd just done. The old veteran's fingers shook as he reached for balance, but his knees failed him. His weathered navy cap tumbled into a rain gutter. The sidewalk blurred in and out. Across the street, a store clerk gasped and dialed her phone. Grizz blinked through the haze. Then, faintly at first, came the low growl of engines. Exactly 20 minutes later, the same teens, 4 boys and 2 girls, all no older than 16, stood in a loose circle, their cocky grins gone. They were now encircled by 6 men in full Marine Corps dress blues, faces stern, postures rigid. Who called them?" one of the boys whispered, panic setting in. Grizz Franklin had survived the chosen reservoir, lost friends in jungles the world had long forgotten, and still carried a chunk of metal near his spine that no surgeon dared remove. He thought his hardest days were behind him. Lately, his battles were quieter. Stairs with no rails, sleepless nights, and the pain of being invisible in his own country. But this blind shove from a kid outside a corner gas station, it was a new kind of hurt. He had been walking back from the pharmacy, his cane tapping in steady rhythm, when a voice called out, "Move it, Grandpa, you're killing the vibe." Then came the shove. By the time the police were dispatched, word had already traveled faster through a tight-knit network of veterans in Westfield, Missouri. A clerk's son was a Marine. A bystander's uncle was stationed at the local base. The alert didn't take long to reach the right people. Now the teens were trapped, surrounded not by law enforcement, but by something heavier, consequence in uniform. The tallest Marine stepped forward. Staff Sergeant Leon Ruiz, broad-shouldered and stone-faced, spoke calmly. "Let's talk about what you thought was funny." One of the girls whispered, "It was just a joke." Ruiz didn't blink. "Then let's see if you're brave enough to own it." Grizz, seated on the curb with a small gash on his palm, finally looked up. The boy who had shoved him had gone pale. He stepped forward, eyes glassy. I didn't know you were military, sir." Grizz reached down for his cap and held it out, pointing to the faded insignia. "That's not why it matters, son." The arriving police were met with a gesture, Grizz's open palm held up gently. "Wait," he said. His voice wasn't loud, but it stopped everyone. Ruiz raised an eyebrow. "Sir, I want to handle this my way." The teens looked stunned. Grizz leaned on a Marine's arm and stood, wincing. He faced them squarely. "You'd think strength is knocking someone over. Strength is helping people stand up. You want to prove you're tough?" He glanced at each one. "Then you'll show up tomorrow at 800. You'll learn what real respect looks like." They nodded, some reluctantly, others with shame already blooming behind their eyes. 1 month later, in the hall of VFW Post 213, the same 6 teenagers polished tables, scrubbed plaques, and folded chairs under the quiet supervision of Marines. The charges had been dropped on one condition: service. Grizz sat in the corner, sipping lukewarm coffee from a chipped mug. The same boy who had shoved him now walked over, wiping his hands on a rag. "Sir, thank you," he said quietly. Grizz nodded. "We all get one chance to make things right. Looks like you're using yours." Outside, the American flag fluttered. Inside, dignity was being restored, not just for a veteran, but for the youth who had once lost their way. Because some battles aren't won with fists. They're won with second chances and the courage to grow. If this story moved you, hit that like button and drop a karma in the comments below.